Vegans are a group of people who know the change they want to make in the world, and they even know how they want to make it. And yet we're so, fractious and fragmentary. We're so divided into mutually hostile camps that it's seemingly impossible to get 5 people together who agree on these basic principles and who can get a movement going the same way those movements to, make seatbelts mandatory got going, the same way Mothers Against Drunk Driving got going. People had to set aside their differences. I'm reaching out to these people again and again because fundamentally my reason for being on YouTube is to use YouTube as a platform to organize that kind of real-world political activism. For 3 years now, I've been asking people, so what do you want to do? What are you willing to do to make a positive change to the future of the vegan movement in the next 5 years? Right? I've been asking that question for 3 years now. So I'm running out of time before those 5 years are up. And I have to face up to the reality that although, the profound fissures within veganism that exist, they should create interesting debate. But I don't even have people to debate with.
À-bas-le-ciel.
Hey guys, broadcasting today has been, in a word, impossible. We announced that we were going to do the broadcast just 24 hours in advance from an airport. The airport had a fabulous wireless connection, but it turns out our hotel room did not. We got out and scrambled, and this is being recorded right now from a cafe. They're just closing down the cafe. Coffee shop's closing down for the night. You might hear some of the dishes going to the dishwasher. I can hear them clearing off dishes. So I had a lot to say in today's broadcast, and the broadcast is being cut short. Be that as it may, I wanted to say a few words about the political purpose of my YouTube channel itself and of why I'm on Patreon. You can click the link below this video and join Patreon for $1 right now. I openly discuss my efforts on Patreon as a failure. And several other people who are Patreon supporters wrote back to me saying, well, come on, you shouldn't talk about it as a failure, especially given that it's only a failure relative to a preconceived goal you established. So fully 1 year ago now, I talked about that on YouTube. My feeling, my belief, my conviction is that the exact opposite. I think it's really important to set goals and then be honest with yourself when you fall short or when you exceed them, right? So I just went to China in order to learn Chinese. How much Chinese did I learn in 7 months relative to my goal? How much did I accomplish? How much could I have accomplished, etc.? I think those are really important things to be honest with yourself about. And any goal you miss, of course, is relative to some standard. A goal is relative to a goalpost. Whether you do well or poorly at something, of course, relies in part on definitions that have your own selection, of your own election, and that to some extent they're based on cold hard facts of reality. Like if you flunk out of chemistry in university, that's not a goalpost you set for yourself. There are going to be standards like that you come up against too. But sure, in this case, I openly talked about goals and aspirations I had for the channel, and many of those I haven't reached, and now there are things I want to do that I can't do. So I was emailing people earlier today and talking to people on Twitter about vegan conferences, vegan political events I could attend or I would like to attend. That is exactly the sort of thing I could do if I was making $400 a month on Patreon, and I'm not. So I can't and I won't. Maybe that's an oversimplification, but sure, I'm massively limited in terms of what I can do now coming back to Canada from China in terms of real-world vegan activism. We're both right now unemployed. I just finished doing a 1-year contract as a university professor in China. During that time, I did earn more money than I spent, and I did have a bunch of crazy expenditures, like flying from China to France to see my daughter. But be that as it may, I basically saved up $5,000 US during that time. I've now spent a bit of that too, because on the trip back from China, I had various misadventures, so a significant amount of that got spent up. And my father's death, my father left me a gift, legally speaking. It wasn't an inheritance, it was a gift at the time of his death. That was only $25,000 Canadian, which is not enough money to do anything except stave off poverty right now, during this time of transition, when I get back from China to Canada, look for a new job, look to enroll in school again, rent an apartment, which we've just done. So that's what's going on with us. So yes, the money matters, and the donations, the lack of donations, are going to have real-world outcomes. One of the other obvious ones, you saw me, I was just talking to my mom about this. My mom was actually really hyped to see me publish a children's storybook I wrote. I wrote this storybook in Chinese. just search the channel for the word storybook, and you'll find what I'm talking about. But I wrote a story in Chinese. I translated the Chinese into English. Other people translated it into Japanese, German, Russian, a few other languages. We've got Dutch coming up next. Dutch translation is coming now. It's a great story. Sorry, I'm praising my own work here, but it's a great story for children and for parents to sit down and read to their children that deals with some of the core ethical questions of veganism, but in a way that's not gross or inappropriate. I would love to have that illustrated and published and on store shelves. And the reason why that hasn't happened yet now is money. Now, over the last year, there were other reasons. My girlfriend already knows this. My girlfriend's sitting here off camera. We worked with an artist who flaked out. That was the other thing that happened. So money today is the reason why it's not happening now. I inherited a lot less money than I thought I would. I thought I'd get 50,000 plus. I thought 50,000 and change or something like that. And I didn't. I got 25,000 Canadian, which is I think less than 20,000 US. And I have a 4-year-old daughter. I have responsibilities in life, and I got to worry about getting myself into my next job. But yeah, I wish I had the financial margin or security to just get that book illustrated and published, and I don't. And the artist I had before who flaked out on us, keeping all the way real, I really thought that if we worked with her, we could do like a crowdfunding, Kickstarter type thing and get it rolling without too much money up front. I had confidence in that, but she flaked out, so it didn't happen. So look, I would like to actually read out and discuss the message I just posted as text to Patreon. I posted a sort of short essay, which is a long discussion of what's been going on with this YouTube channel, about what the political aspirations of the YouTube channel are, etc., etc. I mean, it's not about what I see as the future of this YouTube channel. It's about what the future of this channel isn't. You know, it's about the doors that have been closed and the failures, and then what direction that funnels us into in terms of our lives and aspirations, how we're going to move forward as vegan activists, and how we're going to move forward in terms of using this platform, using the internet generally, to try to make something positive happen, right? I want to say, for the purposes of this video, again, anyone who can, click on and read that article. It's a separate thing. I've reached out to and tried to collaborate with so many people from so many different walks of life. Because, as I used to emphasize in videos going back 2 years and more, I think the fundamental unit of political organization is having a group of maybe just 10 people who can really work together, create a foundation, engage in lobbying, make something happen. In Canada, that's partly even just for legal reasons. You got to get people together who can sign as the signatories to a board to create a charity, create a legal entity, start receiving donations, start lobbying, start making things happen. You need that group of friends, 5 or 10 people who trust each other and can sign checks for the same bank account. And if someone asked me fundamentally, why did I ever become friends with Charles Marlowe, formerly known as the Vegan Cheetah? That's why. Why did I ever reach out to and interview the Light Twins? Or I was interviewed by the Light Twins. Whatever. We had a conversation. We had one long, great podcast, still worth listening to, in my opinion. You know, and those guys later kind of went crazy and broke up, and they've gotten into all this strange spiritual stuff. Why did I meet and interact with these people? Why did I ever reach out to someone like Henya Mania? Why did I reach out and try to cooperate with someone like Vegan Gains? Or even worse, ask yourself. I mean, each of these people is deeply flawed in a different way. Very different way. You know, some politically, some religiously or spiritually or what have you. I'm reaching out to these people again and again because fundamentally my reason for being on YouTube is to use YouTube as a platform to organize that kind of real-world political activism, right? And when I'm talking to somebody like the Light Twins, of course, maybe I'm going to recruit them. We're talking to someone like Kenya. Maybe I'm going to be able to really collaborate with them. Maybe not. But maybe even my reaching out to them positively, they're going to introduce me to the person I can really work with. I can really make something happen with, right? That's good practice in life, whether it's business or politics or what have you. So I've done that again and again and again for about 3 years now. And again, I used to talk about it more. I just don't talk about it anymore because I don't like repeating the same message on YouTube. Move on to other topics. But here I am now 3 years into this, and I don't have that circle of 10 people. I don't have that circle of 5 people. I don't even feel like I have 3 people. I feel like I'm totally alone, aside from my girlfriend. But, you know, of course, my girlfriend counts, but there's a sense in which, you know, our relationship is so close that it can't be counted as a political one. In any case, it can't be you can't be counted as a colleague quite. because you're more and less than a colleague both, right? But sure, so I'm not all alone. I have my girlfriend with me, and she'd love to do any of this stuff, this activism, but that's all I've got. So that is a failure. Yes, failure is relative to goals you set for yourself or for goalposts or definitions you set for yourself, but I think it's really important to set and recognize success and failures when whether they're financial, aspirational, political, or otherwise. So I still say this stuff to people. Recently, someone who was in the audience just now, we had a guy in called Truth Crab, and other people freaked out about that, including Quest. Other people were really surprised when I was talking to him and I found out that he wasn't vegan. I said to him, well, look, man, the only reason I'm here is to meet other vegans and try to get organized, right? Try to work for the future of the vegan movement. I'm just keeping it real, So, and people were, in that context, people were shocked. But I was like, look, I've got no reason to talk to you. If you're not vegan, if you're not part of the future of this movement, if you're not part of the solution, I don't really even care if you're part of the problem. This is not what I'm online for. So another quip, to quote myself, that struck me today. Earlier today, we listened back to a video I made, I don't know, long enough ago that I've forgotten all about it, which was my response to Jordan Peterson, thanks. That's what she's here for. Jordan Peterson, where I commented, it's a really interesting video, to be honest with you. I'd forgotten what I said in that video to such an extent that I found it really interesting and surprising. But I commented, vegans are a group of people who know the change they want to make in the world. And they even know how they want to make it. And yet we're so, fractious and fragmentary. We're so divided into mutually hostile camps that it's seemingly impossible to get 5 people together who agree on these basic principles and who can get a movement going the same way those movements to, make seatbelts mandatory got going, the same way Mothers Against Drunk Driving got going. People had to set aside their differences. I'm sure some people probably got involved with Mothers Against Drunk Driving because they were just opposed to people drinking alcohol for religious reasons. And other people got involved because they had a relative who died in a car crash and it had a strong emotional reason. There would have been all kinds of diverse motives brought together by the mission statement of Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Any of these examples I use, different movements to try to get rid of cigarette smoking, educate people about cigarettes causing cancer, etc., right? We have that hurdle to get over. And some of us are only in this movement because of the heart attacks, and some of us are only in this movement because you're into adopting bunnies and stray cats. We got all this diversity. But yeah, for me, for 3 years now, I've been asking people, so what do you want to do? What are you willing to do to make a positive change to the future of the vegan movement in the next 5 years? Right? I've been asking that question for 3 years now. So I'm running out of time before those 5 years are up. And I have to face up to the reality that although, the profound fissures within veganism that exist, they should create interesting debate. But I don't even have people to debate with. Still this day, only one person ever collaborated with me on the book review videos. That was Mod Vegan. I still don't even have people who are looking at me across those fissures interested in debating these things for the future of the vegan. I don't even have people who are interested in cooperating with me on the purely ideal and idealistic side of the equation. Talking about the ideas, talking about the philosophy and the political philosophy and the way forward. I don't even have collaborators of that kind. Much less do I have 5 or 10 collaborators to get organized, make a movement, make something happen in the real world. So that's a failure. And now, me and my girlfriend, party of 2, we've got to look forward to and asking ourselves the question, should we enroll in college, learn how to bake bread? Should we get involved in food services? Should we get involved in feeding vegans and feeding people to be vegan? Try to make something positive that way as a platform for the future of the movement.
À-bas-le-ciel.